Herman gets everywhere early, and Herman doesn't drive with a radar detector. He thinks that's cheating, and you should hear him go off on people who do use them and still somehow manage to get speeding tickets. When Herman watches TV, which isn't that often, he watches sports. When he watches sports on TV, his muscles twitch. If you're sitting on the same couch, you can feel the threads in the upholstery tighten up. When you hang out with Herman and watch sports with him, more often than not, you end up watching him and not whatever game is on. My girlfriend stares at Herman as often as I do, which I know is pretty weird in the first place. She's a bit afraid of him, I think. She's a bit afraid of him, I think, but probably just because she sees that I am. And there's this business with the girl, the woman, who I'm pretty sure Herman has been a bit stuck on these days. And I'd say I have some special insight to this. She was our mutual best friend Joe's girlfriend on and off for most of college. Beth Ann and Joe had a lot of fun together, but it was pretty much clear to us that they weren't meant to be together. Joe was pretty taken by her, and if you knew her, you'd understand that it would be hard not to be. But Joe, I think, knew that he wasn't going to hold on to her just as much as she probably knew the relationship wasn't for the long haul. Anyway, as the years rolled by during school, Herman and this particular girl started spending a lot of time together, even while she was still going out with Joe. They never actually fooled around, but there was no question in anybody's mind that they had some kind of invested interest in each other. You could just tell, and so could Joe. They took each other so seriously. And you should see sometime what it looks like when Herman decides that he's going to take someone seriously. I think I can explain it just like this. When Herman finally tells a woman that he loves her, if he gets a chance to, no doubt he's going to mean it like nobody else has ever meant it. Who, me? I've only told one woman that I love her. My girlfriend on New Year's Eve 2000. But not for a day have I ever been totally sure that she's the end-all, be-all woman for me. Let me read that again. Who, me? I've only told one woman that I love her. My girlfriend on New Year's Eve 2000. But not for a day have I ever been totally sure that she's the end-all, be-all woman for me. In parentheses, I wouldn't say it here if I didn't think she already knew this. Anyway, Herman and this woman are nowhere near each other. Or maybe not, who knows. She's on the West Coast somewhere, and I'm sure Herman can't be all that thrilled about it. He told me over the summer that as well as they get along, he wondered whether they could ever have a working relationship. I told him he can't know that until they're closer, until they're living in the same city. There's just no way I know for sure. There's just no way to know for sure from any distance. You should have seen how crazy I went when my girlfriend went abroad for a semester. It was only one semester, and I still just about lost my mind, wondering whether I should be considering other women. Well, she came back just when I decided that I did want to see other women, and I thought it was going to be a mess. So what did she do? She said, pretty much, you're mine. And well, I guess I just decided right then and there that I was, and I am still. And I'm still not sure, so go figure. Well, it was during one of our long all-nighters at school that Herman and I got to reflecting about our relationships. And as it turns out, Herman didn't have sex with half the women I thought he did. The way he put it was this. The way he put it was that as much as he liked a lot of the women, he'd just gotten to the point in his life when he didn't think it was going to do him any good to seduce women he knew he wasn't going to be interested in down the road. Well, I told him he wouldn't know who he was going to be interested in down the road unless he experimented. He just said he did know. He said he knew enough. Herman said something about how he knew he was the kind of guy that girls, when they get to know him, decide that he's the sensitive artist kind. And if they got involved with him, their attention is commanded. And if they got involved with him, their attention is commanded. He said he knew a lot of girls he said he knew a lot of girls were after him just because of superficial things like the fact that he's athletic and a halfway nice guy. I told him that I told him that those are the things a lot of guys count on when they're trying to get a girl's interest. He said it never took too long for a girl to see that she may have gotten more than she bargained for when she got his attention for a while. So what does all that mean? What does all that mean? Herman apparently talked to some of his girlfriends so much that they became afraid of sleeping with him. My interpretation, they lost interest. And who can blame them? If Herman was ever a girl, I'd be so terrified of her, I'd probably up and join the priesthood. There are a few things I want to say about Herman before I forget. First, because it's his journal stuff you're going to see, he made me promise to mention that he never claimed to be entirely consistent. He says, name one person, let alone a great thinker, who was ever totally consistent. I think it's important to note that even though Herman might not be an actual genius like Einstein or Stephen Hawking, he is still a daring thinker. All you have to do is look to see this. He's obviously written most of it down, for better or for worse. Even though he's kept it to himself all this time, he never expected not to be held accountable for it. You'll hear him talk a lot about learning experiences in a little while. You'll hear him talk about stuff like how life is a constant struggle to make sense of things, and that the real fun, the fulfillment comes from recognizing that life is an ongoing process. You'll see how little respect Herman has for people of any age, that think they've come up with definite answers. He doesn't like intellectual snobs much. He doesn't much appreciate people who think they've answered the big questions well enough so that the rest of us don't have to think about them. You'll hear him go off on that Alan Bloom guy, Closing of the American Mind, and a lot too on the esteemed Ayn Rand, author of such books as The Fountainhead and The Romantic Manifesto. Huge, narrow-minded, sellout snobs. He spells it all out for us. Anyway, he talks a lot about this struggle to get across to people, to have his efforts mean something by feeling as though he might actually be able to help someone. Eventually, I think, Herman decided that people need friendship more than they need someone telling them how to live their life better. And I think that might be the reason why Herman sold out. Aside from the money thing, as strange and un-Herman as it seemed to me, he may have been dealing with something of a change of heart concerning how to help people. He may have been feeling sympathetic, so much so that he thought a happy, ridiculous book might reach more people than a book of aggressive, righteous philosophy. And it did. In any case, when I told you what I thought Herman would really say about all those idiotic bits of advice in the advice book, I meant it. Those are the kinds of guidelines that Herman sets for himself. I wouldn't say that Herman would definitely want to give all the hardcore advice to people. He knew he wouldn't have reached a fraction of the people he did if he'd put in a lot of stuff about how lazy most people are, and about how to spend so much money and time doing so many things that are a total waste of money and time. Herman was gentle with that advice book, and that's what I found the strangest. That's why his selling out was a bigger crime than it would have been if he'd written some realistic romance novel and given it a happy ending. My main point is this. There really are people like Herman around. In fact, Herman himself is around. I'm positive of it. There actually is a person who is hell-bent on figuring out this wild life, and who is now probably pretty pleased with the fact that people are getting their chance to read the stuff that he put the most time into which he, dangling preposition and all that. there actually is a person who is hell-bent on figuring out his wild life, and who is now probably pretty pleased with the fact that people are getting the chance to read the stuff that he put the most time into which he put the most time. As you'll soon see, Herman had it in his mind to write a big story. A story about a revolutionary young guy. A guy a lot like himself. And it makes sense that he based his character on the person he knows better than anyone.